All right, so Jay, this is kind of interesting to me. This came from Market Watch, and it says people, in a 401k, it's very, very common for them to have an index fund, which just basically it goes along with the Dow, it goes along with the S&P, it goes along with some index. Well, they say with the uncertainty of Trump and the tariffs and inflation and the Fed, all stuff we've talked about, you probably shouldn't be heavily weighted in an index fund. It said when times get a little tough, things like energy and commodities tend to do very well. So you should have an energy fund in your 401k, and you should consider pushing some money there. Okay, let's kick that one around a little bit. Are we trying to be market timers here, or are we being smart here? What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm not going to make a comment on should you invest in energy, should you invest in commodities. That's a very in-depth conversation to have with somebody. Okay. Once we know what's going on with them. This is the point, the more important, I feel, and really the overarching point that is being made here, is most 401ks, and when I say most, I'm like 90+%, you've got 7 or 8 investment options, maybe 9, right? And we have people come to us with their 401k, they've got it Fidelity or Vanguard or Schwab or wherever it is, and they say, I tell them, you've got 8 or 9 options. They're like, well, no, I've got about 20. And I said, without even looking at their 401k, I say, yeah, but half of those are what are called target date funds, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, they are. And I said, well, that's just a mixture of everything else, right? So you're really not doubling your diversification. And we've talked about pros and cons of 401ks, and I certainly don't knock them. For people that are accumulating wealth, they're in their earning years at work, and they're trying to get towards retirement, absolutely go for it. This is what you're going to find when you get to retirement. When you get to retirement, you're transitioning from your work life to your retirement life. And up until that point, most of what you've been watching is, I want to grow this, I want to grow this, I want to grow this 401k, and you've been more aggressive. And for that type of goal, for that type of investing, 401k is probably going to be fine for you. You've got some aggressive options. Maybe you've got an S&P, which is what you mentioned, and you've got a growth fund, an international, and then you've got some money market accounts that really don't do a whole lot. And you're in growth mode, okay. Once you get to retirement, you got a couple of things going on, more than a couple of things going on that you're trying to achieve. Do you want to grow the money still? Well, yeah, I'd like to grow the money still, but whoa. I can't take too much risk because now I need to use this money. It'd be great if there was a bit of income. I need to plan for inflation. And I would propose to most people that the way they need to be invested in retirement, their 401k is not going to be able to provide them the options that they need for that. That's a seed I'd like to plant with most people, because when you go from your 401k to an IRA, and you have your IRA at wherever it is, you have it at Schwab, you have it at Fidelity, you have it, all of our clients, our custodian is Schwab, so let's just use Schwab for an example. You go from having 7, 8, 9 options to about 10,000. And with 10,000 options, we can get you very diversified with those 10,000 options.
Yeah.
And what I say to people, because we'll get people that they're like, well, I've been doing this myself for a while. I'm going to keep doing it myself. I'm like, okay, that's fine. The money's in the 401k. And I say to them, and I say, hey, I'm not trying to be rude when I tell you this, but this is something you kind of need illustrated to you. You've been retired for 5 years. Your money's still in the 401k. Like, yeah, it's in the 401k. I say, why is it in the 401k? And almost always the answer is, I don't know what else to do outside of this. If you really knew what you were doing, even if you were handling your money yourself, if you knew what you were doing, you'd never keep it in your 401k. You'd move it out into an IRA and give yourself more investment options. But if you're not quite sure, you don't want to leave the perceived kind of safetiness of this 401k that I've known for decades.
When I read articles like this, and when I watch CNBC and Fox Business, sometimes I think that this is not meant for me. I think this is meant for day traders. This is meant for people on Wall Street. This is meant for New York. And it's not meant for middle America, because we are very simple. We put money in a 401k. We come to someone like you. We say, Jay, how do I make income out of this? Am I going to be okay? And some of that advice out there sometimes, I believe, can get kind of jumbled. It can get in our heads, and we think we should be acting on this stuff where it's really not meant for us. Do you feel that way?
It is. And if you watch CNBC, you watch Fox Business, you watch Bloomberg, whatever it is, first of all, this is the concept I want to paint for people. It's financial entertainment. Okay, that's what it is these guys, Randy, give them a break. They've got 18 hours a day they've got to fill. All right, they've got to find some stories in there to fill the time. Okay, look, I think you and I have talked about it before. You'll have one guy come up on CNBC and say the market's primed for an explosion, and the next guy is, well, we're going to have a major crash. Well, which one is it?
Yeah.
Right? And they're contradictory of each other. So it is financial entertainment to a degree, and it comes back to what we've talked about before too. Who is that message for? Is that message for the guy who's watching it from his yacht with $50 million in the bank and has a completely different outlook and need from the average Joe like you and me that has 500,000 or $1 million in a 401k, and we need to figure out how are we going to live off this for the rest of our life? Who is the message meant for? I'd say most of the time, it's not meant for us.